I used to snort 2 8 balls of cocaine in a day, and this is how I literally snorted 2 8 balls of cocaine in one day. This is how sick and twisted in the fucking head I was with addiction. If you're new to the channel, hit the like and subscribe button. I used to do 1 to 2 8 balls of coke a day, and I thrived on this, and I drank a lot of alcohol, a lot of Red Bull, just to try and power through it to keep my mouth just moist because you get such bad dry mouth. And it came down to, though, is I was obsessed with cocaine, and alcohol helped offset that. Originally, I was drinking so much that I needed something to kind of boost me up so that I wouldn't constantly black out or pass out from alcohol. And well, cocaine ended up being that miracle drug that turned into a complete and utter nightmare for me. And how I would do 2 8 balls of cocaine in one day is I would literally do lines about that big. And an 8 ball of coke is 3.5 grams. So I'm doing lines like this. And my dealers knew to wrap the coke in paper because I'd eat the paper because I could not let anything go to waste. So I would get to work usually right around 8 o'clock alone. And whenever you're alone and you're doing drugs, that's how you know you're an addict also. I would be alone in my truck, and I would do about 5 lines about that big. Just 1, 2, 3. I would take this whole deep breath. Just kind of all of a sudden that drip hits, your nose starts to almost swell up, and to start that drip going, I would wet down paper towel, or I would wet down toilet paper or tissue, and I would start snorting it through that one nostril. I'd never switch altered nostrils back and forth. I would blow out one nostril each day and rotate back and forth. And then all of a sudden, once that full high is kicked in, and all of a sudden I feel like I can take on the world, I can feel like I can breathe. And the problem was that I wouldn't stop there, because now all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I'm high as fuck. I feel amazing. Now I got to keep this. I can't lose this high. And now I do about 2 more lines. And there was my 5 lines. I would go into work, and I would end up putting on a sales meeting. I would meet with the other managers, and I was very successful at what I did. I was always amped up, and people never knew why I was so amped up the way I was. As soon as that sales meeting was done, I would go upstairs. We had an upstairs bathroom at the dealership I was running that was very private. And I would literally lay out 2 more lines of coke and do 2 more lines. Every line was always this big, and I'm just sitting there with a credit card. And if I didn't have a place to set it on or anything to set it on, I'd literally lay down a credit card and put it out the length of a credit card and snort it off that card. And then, of course, I'm putting my finger on around wherever and wiping the rest onto my gum. And I was doing this about every 45 minutes, hour. I mean, multiple lines this big, to the point where, like, yeah, I would OD. I mean, I'd be constantly sweating. My heart rate's racing, and like everybody just looked weird, and I felt fully disassociated. But I wouldn't stop. Every 45 minutes, hour, man, into the bathroom, multiple lines. And I would constantly keep drinking throughout the day and like self-medicate myself at this certain messed up level. And that's how you actually go through. 8 ball of coke is going to last you doing lines about this big. And they're thick lines. I mean, eventually the second 8 ball, I mean, you're starting to get those whole gackers where you're just like, whoa, because it's gagging you as just the chunks are going down your throat, and you're constantly trying to clear out your sinuses because it crushed over. And at least the water like moistened it all for me. And so that is how I went through 2 8 balls of cocaine a day. I mean, 2 8 balls would last me literally from like 8 to about 8 is how in 9 I could get it to last, because I was just so obsessed. And again, I constantly, no matter how high I was, I had to keep that high. But in return, I just kept getting higher, and my brain didn't work like normal people's, where you're like, dude, this isn't right. There's something fucking wrong. I just kept chasing that high, so paranoid, so afraid to lose it. And that is addiction. So if you are out there struggling, I've been there before. I mean, click the like and follow button, comment down below. And down below, I do have links for NA and AA. And if you are trying to get sober, I literally had a mental breakdown. I realized that my life was crumbling around me. And why was it crumbling around me? Because I kept doing the same stupid stuff over and over again. And 7/25/17, I decided to get sober and haven't looked back. I mean, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a therapist, I'm none of that. My name is Eric. I'm diagnosed with ADHD, PTSD, GAD, MDD. I lost a wife to suicide. I lost a dad to suicide. I attempted suicide. I'm a recovering cocaine alcoholic addict. I have level 1 autism. I mean, I've been through a lot of the shit, and I like to share just because the one going through it knows that they're not alone. And you're not alone. And what you're going through is real. But it also does get better, and you will heal from it. So don't give up. So if you are struggling, man, tell everybody that you're an addict, that you need help, that you're struggling. And you'd be surprised. Help will happen. And just don't give up. And just keep pushing forward every single day, because the sober life is so much fucking better than being high every single day, alone in my car.